tell us about your business, as much as you would care to share. And I love your story in that because of the team aspect, which I'm sure you're going to a little bit as well. So there's lots of great stuff to share. So please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So again, I don't exactly know how things work in the US from a licensing perspective and all that kind of stuff. In Canada, it's you could specialize, in stocks and investment banking and all that kind of stuff. Or if you get into financial services in general, you can get obviously different designations and all that. But generally, people can do some investment work and they can do some insurance work. I gravitated toward the insurance industry, so I focus heavily on life insurance, what we call living benefits, so critical illness, disability, sort of that type of protection, and long-term planning, estate planning, and what I'd like to do, I like to sort of view myself as a bit of a liaison, a bit of a concierge, if you will, a bit of a quarterback for their plan. I really focus on the relationship. So if I'm not the guy for their accounting, like legal advice, maybe investment advice, I like to build relationships with other professionals and then sort of guide my clients in the right direction based on their overall kind of game plan. And one of the primary things that we focus on is what we like to call the living benefits of life insurance. So I do a lot of whole life insurance, and we use that whole life insurance policy as sort of a savings tool. And then we actually use those policies while people are alive, and then obviously after they're gone. So it's sort of it's not just a hey, you got to die to win. Actually, I'll do a little shameless plug for this great book right here. This is a Canadian book, but it literally is titled "You Don't Have to Die to Win." So he talks about all the other financial instruments that are out there, but how you can benefit from using life insurance while you're alive, which is pretty cool. And so that's kind of the core of what I do in terms of bringing value to my clients. And if you have some questions about how my team is structured and what I do to allow myself to kind of focus more on the client versus all the busy work, because I probably don't need to tell you that in this industry, that's one of the biggest challenges is there's a lot of busy work that is super necessary, but it doesn't necessarily bring value to the client and it doesn't generate revenue. And that's a huge challenge.
I like to think about how does that affect a planner or an advisor, depending on what you call yourself, what that looks like, depending on where they are in the business, right? The first couple of years, just getting your feet under you, 8 to 10 years in, getting going, building a team, 20 years plus, what does it look like? And so I think all of that stuff is such an important thing to think about. Where for you, perhaps past that initial, like, oh, this is real for me, I do think of it like a business, not a job, it like actually is rolling. Where do you see that first next step up in terms of what you must push through in order to get to that next level of success in context with that busy work?
Yeah. This kind of ties into one of those, hey, what would you have done differently type of things?
Yeah.
Right. And I think in this industry, it's like, I call it psychological warfare, right? They say the loneliest place to be is in your mind, in your office,
That's
sitting in
right.
your office,
That's
right?
right.
And one of my mentors always used to say to me, he'd say all the time, he'd say, Vern, activity absorbs anxiety. Activity absorbs anxiety. Activity, right? So I'd get caught up, 10, 11, 2 p.m., 10, 11 in the morning or 2 p.m. Here I am doing some type of administration work. Well, when you're early in the business, look, the reality of it is if you want to be successful, I don't know any other way. You got to put in more time, particularly early in the business, right? So I would structure yourself so that you're doing that busy work either on a very specific day or early in the morning before meetings start or in the evening after meetings are done, and try to focus on activity and seeing people during the day when people are available to be seen. If you have to get up a little earlier on a Saturday, if you have kids, like I used to do that sometimes, I get up early in the morning before my kids were up and I would take care of some things so that I could be clear and focused with them and present and not thinking about that stuff while I was with them. So I would say those types of things that are not bringing value to clients and they're not bringing any value to you in terms of revenue, do those on the off hours and then focus on your clients when you should be. And then as you kind of grow, this is kind of scary for a lot of younger people in the business. Maybe even if you're really successful and you're really hands-on and you want to control everything. But I would say the sooner you can, what's the word I'm looking for? Delegate or hand those responsibilities off to somebody else, the sooner you can get yourself, we call it a strategic assistant. The sooner you can get yourself an assistant, uh, I would invest in that immediately, because if it costs you, I don't know what it would cost you there, like cost you 60 to 80 grand a year. Well, if you, people are like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. Well, what if you invest 60 to 80 grand a year to make 200? That's a pretty good trade-off. And if I can add to that, just because you never know where people are coming from, understand that the most valuable person in your business is your assistant. Absolutely. Nothing goes without my assistant. She controls everything, and we work together. She holds me accountable. I coach and guide her to be able to bring more value to clients and get strategic. That's why we call it a strategic assistant. She literally helps me generate revenue, like how she communicates with clients. I've had countless clients reach out to me and go, Vern, your assistant is amazing. She's a huge value add. She's super helpful. Like, it's going to make you look good as an advisor too, but that person is really, really important. I've had days, I kid you not, where I'm a human being. I will message my assistant in the morning and I'll just be like, listen, I am feeling overwhelmed. I am a little bit tired. I got a loaded day and I don't got it today. And she'll be like, hey, no, you got this. Listen, one step at a time, one task at a time. I will do my best to keep everything else off your plate. Like, she filters my emails. We have text messages that come in from clients. She'll answer and respond to those text messages. She only messages me with the things that she can't respond to, or that are maybe a 911 or whatever, right? So she's doing her best to filter as much of that information so that I'm focused on the client. So she goes way above and beyond, quote, the job description in terms of how she brings value to me and to the client. So your assistant is super important. It's not just anybody that can do that or just a job. Like, that person is critically important to your business.
Sounds like you have a real A player. How long has she been with you?
So I got super lucky because I worked with my original assistant. Shout out to Ashley if you ever hear this. She's amazing. I think I worked with her for 2 to 3 years. Like, she was really there during my critical growth years, and we became very close. And then sometimes when you have really good people, unfortunately, they grow too. So she got a promotion, but what she did, because she cared about me so much and she wanted to help her family, is she actually got her sister-in-law hired, who it was almost like a clean handoff. Melissa is amazing, and I've been working with Melissa now for about a year. So Ashley and Melissa were both instrumental to my growth and success.